Welcome back to my Minmus and Return series. Just checking on getting audio. Yeah. Whatever you do, don't unplug your headphones halfway through something. It confuses everything. Okay. I just want to put out a quick one today because I was looking for YouTube for some technical stuff that I realised that nobody's done this type of video before for on YouTube that I could find. So I thought, oh geez, I've got to be the first. What I'm going to do is just give you a quick explanation of orbital state vectors. You can go look that up on Wikipedia if you want the technical stuff, but I'll just describe it how it applies to my plane matching script that I wrote. Okay, so I don't think this screen is not all that important, but I'll just run the script now. Plane change test. Alright. It'll just go warping around. Just wait for it to cycle for a second. I think I've given myself about 5 minutes with a bit of luck. Okay. I'll press that button. Good. Alright. Okay, got my screen back. Yeah, good. Okay, it's just nice and pretty because there's lots of pretty arrows and stuff. I'll just go through them at the top from the top. Now the first two arrows, you see the two yellow arrows pointing downwards. You can't, it's not very clear. One's called H Minmus and one's called H ship. What happens is I've generated one for the orbit of my vessel, and I've generated another vector for the orbit of Minmus, which is inclined 6 degrees to Kerbal. You can't. That's a bit strange. Why can't you see it? Oh, that's weird. Okay, there's always something interesting you find. It's got to be around there somewhere. No. Weird. Okay. Now this is a weird one. These are the weird ones. It's what they call the specific angular momentum pseudovector. Not a vector, it's a pseudovector. And the difference between a vector and a pseudovector can become quite important in graphics programs. You might have this. You might see it if you go and look up the literature. You might see that they'll actually be pointing that way. They'll be pointing north. The reason why they're pointing south is Kerbal Space Program graphics obeys the left-hand rule, not the right-hand rule. Now, just about everyone else in the world uses the right-hand rule, including Wikipedia and a lot of other places. Physics and mathematics, they tend to use the right-hand rule. Now graphics people for some reason tend, a lot of them, not all of them, tend to use the left-hand rule. So I've decided to be consistent when I calculate the specific angular momentum pseudovector. I follow the left-hand rule, so that means they're going to point down. So that's why they're pointing down. You can think of them as the way I look at it, they're the spin axis of the, not the spin axis, just the axis of the orbit. So if you think about it, if you're consistent about whether you say a standard orbit goes clockwise or anti-clockwise, the axis points is either going to point up or point down. And the important thing is you just be consistent about what you do. So I just think of it as the axis of the orbit and leave it with that. I do know what it means in a physical sense, but it's not all that important. It's really just an intermediate step towards calculating other more useful vectors. Now this one here, the red one, that's what they call the eccentricity vector, and because I've switched the labels off, I'll have to switch them back on again. There you go. You'll notice that it points out through the periapsis. That is basically its definition, and I'm going to run out of time here in a second. Yeah, I'll probably, yeah, I'm going to run out of time. Hang on. God, I thought I allowed plenty of time. Why didn't I allow? Oh, who knows? Get that one out of the way. Trouble is, once you pause the screen, you can't rotate the camera around anymore. Okay, so the eccentricity vector, and you can't do anything. Yeah. Basically, it points out through the periapsis. That's an important vector to calculate when you're dealing with the orbital state vectors. You'll find there's a lot of other formulas that will depend on you finding out this vector here. So I wrote a routine to find it. It also defines, technically speaking, it goes straight through the apoapsis and well and off into infinity. It's what they call the line of apsis, if you want to look that one up. Apsides is the way you spell it, but I'm only sort of displaying half of it because that's all I'm interested in. The reason why I produced these vectors was to debug my program and make sure all the mathematics was working correctly. Okay, so that's the eccentricity vector. It basically tells you where the periapsis is. I'll resume that. The third vector is it is basically the line of nodes, and the way I've done it, I've got it pointing out through the ascending node, just to be consistent. Again, it also goes through the descending node and off into infinity, but I'm really only interested in this one direction here, because I just subtract 180 degrees to get the descending node, so I don't need to worry about it anymore. So it actually defines where your ascending node is as well, relative to the plane you're trying to match, which is Minmus in this case. So that's it, really. That's the orbital state vectors. It's an alternative way of looking at. You can either use the Keplerian orbital elements, or you can use the orbital state vectors, or as I've done in my in this case, it'll probably just finish. Yeah, it's ended. There you go. It's a perfect match as far as Kerbal Space Program is concerned. It's right down to 0. Oh, good. I was worried the arrows were going to disappear. They're out of date now, of course, because I've changed things without updating them. But I can just finish off just my little technical chat. Yeah, so you can either use the Keplerian orbital elements, or you can use the orbital state vectors, or a combination of both. And I've used a combination of both, basically. I use sort of what made the most. Yeah, you can see that vector there is oh yeah. They're out of date now. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. I might start it up again, because there was one other important thing that a point that I wanted to make. I thought I had 5 minutes. Couldn't have been just 5 minutes just then. What's 300 divided by 60? That's oh god, I probably found another bug in the script, I'm sure. Every time I've demonstrated something to somebody, I've found some more problems with my my scripts. Right, yeah, I thought I had I'll just add another 10 to that and see if it makes a difference. Probably not. Actually, no, I shouldn't do that. I bet you I'll crash it if I go and change things. I won't do that. Made that rookie mistake before. Oh, actually, maybe it was 5 minutes, and geez, you need a lot of time. Okay, exposition and all that. Okay, I'll run it again. Oops. I'll just go back to my test case. Always save your test cases. That will, after you've done this 20 times, that'll save you a lot of time. Right. Run. Plane. Change. Tests. Probably the most important point that I haven't made. You think, well, okay, what to do? You got all these pretty vectors sticking out of your body. Yeah, there you go. Got them out of the way. Used a different method. Okay, I said the eccentricity vector. I said the line of nodes vector. I got my two specific angular momentum vectors. Now the whole point of one of the things they try to do in physics is they're not trying to find stuff that's changing. They're trying to find stuff that remains the same under various transformations and all that. You can go and look up invariants and symmetries and Noether's theorem and all that if you like. It's all very fascinating and all very confusing. But the whole point, coming down to Kerbal Space Program, calculating these orbits, you want to find things that don't change. Maybe I shouldn't call them an invariant. That I might be getting my definition wrong there. Let's call them a constant. Anyway, you want to find things that are constant. Okay, one thing that is constant is your eccentricity vector, and that also defines your periaps. And you know, if you've been doing Kerbal Space Program for any amount of time, you know when you've got an orbit the periaps remains the same until you do something to change the orbit. But also the line of nodes also remains constant, and in this case I got two specific angular momentum pseudovectors. They both remain constant as well. So if you're a physics person and you're looking for what stays the same when you change other parameters, those are the ones, and that's, I guess, is another reason why they call it orbital state vectors. All right, so probably I've confused most people by now, but you just have to go and look it up, because if I wanted to put it this way, if I got a lot of views, I'll go and whiteboard it, and I can take you through it carefully. I just wanted to get this out there so I could be the first on YouTube, because I couldn't find anyone else has done this yet. So it's always fun to be first, don't you think? Let's just pause that for a sec. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you've watched my last episode, you know I did I found my line of nodes, but I had a problem that I couldn't distinguish correctly between the ascending node and the descending node. I've hacked out a bit of code that seems to work to do that for me. I'm just not going to test it too much, because at this point in time I want to move on to my next phase, because it's getting boring. I can come back and test it all properly later. I mentioned the left-hand rule. That's something important to keep in mind, because you'll go and read various references, and they all assume the right-hand rule, and they may not even say that, and you wonder why things seem to be pointing the wrong way and stuff like that. And it won't make any sense. And my next script and video will be my home and transfer script. I've got to get from orbit around Kerbal get into orbit in around Minmus. I think that's how they define a complete home and transfer. Two impulsive burns. One to get out there, and the other one to stop again. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. I'll catch you. I've obviously got a lot of reading and writing to do to get that script to work, but that'll be fun for me. So you probably won't hear from me for a week or so. See how much time I get to work on it. Okay, so I'll catch you next episode.